Okay, so we're going to go over how to use the Unreal ART rig kit. It is a rigging tool that is specifically made for Maya. If you want to do this at home or anything that outside of class, I recommend that you do it on 2016 or better. I've had a lot of problems with 2015. Just consistent crashing on pivotal parts of building this rig. What's really great about this rigging process is, one, it's pretty easy outside of skinning, if you don't mind skinning. And then the best part about it is, once you implement this character in Unreal, every single animation that you put in there can inherit this rig that you've done. So anything that Unreal uses, like if you have the mannequin, like let's say you download like anything that from the marketplace animation wise, this character that you rig in here will be able to inherit it without any problems. Like, it'll just take it right away. So I'm going to go from how to download the actual tool and how to implement the plugin to putting it into the game. So there's two ways that you can find the plugin. One is through the actual marketplace on the Unreal launch tool, and then the other place is through their marketplace on Google, which I will do now to save time. So I just look Unreal Art Tool plugin. It's the second one. I don't know why it's not the first. The first one is kind of their old documentation on it. I think it should probably be updated. It doesn't even use the same mannequin, but that's here nor there. The other cool thing about ART is it does come preloaded with the mannequin as a model. So if you want to just start making animations on a character before you even have a character done, you can start knocking out animations on this guy in the meantime, and then when you implement your character, they're already done, and you just change it. Okay, I guess it wants me to open the launcher link. Oh, come on. I feel like this has an update every week. So depending on what version of Unreal you have, you'll just install it to there, and then you're going to have a folder that's installed there called Maya Tools. So as soon as this is done, I'm going to go find that in the subdirectory, and then I'm going to pull out a script, and I'm going to put it in the Maya Scripts folder. Thank you. So now I'm just going to go find the Unreal or the Epic Games Zin launcher, engine, plugins. Forget where it goes because I just have it saved as an actual folder when I downloaded it. They actually used to not have this on Marketplace until recently. You actually had to download it from like a Maya site, which was weird. So finding it is kind of annoying. No, that's not it. I think it's in this one. Yep, there we go.
Do you mind going over that location?
So we're going to go to C, Program Files, find the version that you installed it into, and I believe it's in Engine. There's some place in here where it's Marketplace. Plugins, Marketplace, and then there it is, ARTv1 right there. So when you open this, there's going to be a folder in here called Maya Tools. If I were you, I would copy that folder, and if you plan on using this in class, save it to your name on D drive. So I'll just go ahead and do that for this computer. So I'll just make a folder for myself. Actually, I won't. I'll just leave it here in here as Maya Tools. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Maya Tools folder, and here's the Python script right here. It's user setup. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go to Documents, Maya 2016 scripts, and I'm going to drop it in there. And then just as a backup, I always put it in the base scripts one too, just to make sure I don't mess it up. So what's going to happen now, I already have Maya open, so nothing's going to happen. So I actually need to reopen Maya. And then when that happens, it's going to say, hey, you've installed this script, but we don't know where the base folder is. Can you direct me to that folder? And so that we're just going to redirect it back to that Maya Tools folder that I put in the D drive. There's my error right here. Hey, couldn't find Maya Tools. Where is it? So I'm going to go to my computer, D, Maya Tools, save. And now up here in the toolbar or the menu bar, ART10 just popped up. After that pops up, you have all these options here: add character for animation, animation interface, character rig creator, edit existing character, and then there's the settings and a help folder. To create a rig character, you just go to character rig creator. It's going to change your world access to Z up because that's what Unreal is. And then it's going to give you these options on the toolbar to the side. This is going to be your skeleton placement section. What it's going to ask you to do is it's going to say how many joints do you want each area. I don't know why it always starts with 2 neck joints. I always change that to 1. And then depending on what your character has, you can go in and say, hey, you know, my character doesn't have a thumb, so you can take the thumb out. You can take all the joints out. Or hey, I want 5 joints on my thumb for some reason. You can do that. You can take out arm twists, all that. There's a leg style down here where you go from standard biped to hind leg, foreleg, things like that. So there's a lot of different options. And the really cool thing is they have these extra modules here, like chains or jelly. Like this is if you want to add like someone's big belly. Like let's say you have, what's the character from Overwatch with the big belly and the Roadhog? Yeah, like let's say you wanted to animate his big belly, you can put a jelly effect on that. For the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to use a robot mech because it doesn't take that long to skin. And I'm just going to leave everything pretty much standardized except for the number of neck bones. And then I'm just going to go to skeleton placement here. And it's going to say, are you sure you want to build the skeleton with this chosen parameters? And I'm going to say yes. And it's basically going to give me a new screen here and then a mannequin looking mesh here based on what I've given it. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to hide the guy that I put in there, and I'm going to import the character I actually want to rig on there. So I'm going to import desktop, and I'm going to do jug mech. And so a thing to know for sizing issues is that this character already has bones in it. Awesome. I'm going to delete those. The character mesh that's in there that Unreal gives you, that is the size of a mannequin of the main character. Let me get rid of all these bones real quick. I imported the one that I had already rigged. I don't know why it's doing it like this. Cannot delete locked node root. That's funny, it's not even showing up in the outliner.
Maybe try a different model. Or let Mixamo get to like 80%, and then you can make to your heart's content.
Alright, so I'm going to import this character now, who I took all the bones out.
Okay,
He's
so
going to pop in. I did.
Oh.
So you can see this guy is bigger than an actual humanoid.
Who's talking?
This guy's head is in this guy's chest, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this symmetrical button right here, and that's just going to it's just going to make everything on the right side move whenever I move the left side. I'm going to go to this outline joint mover, and it's going to allow me to pick up every single joint and move it. I usually go into X-ray mode here so I can see through the model that I'm using. And I'm just going to start placing, I'm going to start placing all of my joints where I want them to go. So pelvis from the side. I'm using a 3D mouse to navigate in this. This is why I'm going to be able to navigate a little bit quicker than probably most. Use the spine.
Can you explain how a 3D mouse works? I'm not familiar.
So a 3D mouse just turns it basically it acts like a joystick, like a imagine like a pilot joystick, and I'm using that, and it basically allows me to maneuver the camera as if I was a pilot. So I can just get around a lot faster than I can by clicking Alt and using all the different clicks and scroll wheels. So like, you know, when you scroll, like this is me scrolling on the mouse, like one click is like, I'm already like really far on 2 clicks right there. If I need to zoom in, like look at that zoom in, but if I just use my mouse, I can just kind of slowly tab in there. Pretty cool. 3D Connection makes it. It's $120 on Amazon. Shameless plug. It also has this radial dial, which I keep pressing because on my computer I've macroed this radial to be W, E, and R, so I never have to take my hand off of my mouse to the keyboard. So if I keep doing that, that is why that is happening. So yeah, that's my shameless plug for a 3D mouse. I'm going to bring the neck down to the head. I probably won't actually even use a neck for this character because, as you can see, pretty much doesn't have one, but I'm still going to place it, and I just won't have much influence on that.
So you grabbing the actual yellow boxes, or are you grabbing those arrows?
Yeah, I'm grabbing the arrow. It's going to give you kind of like a pivot point on the middle of the arrow, and it shows you the axis that it's going to point in. As you can see, it's reversed on the right side as I place everything.
What would you do if right now you're able to move both arms at one time? Is there a way to if a character is asymmetrical?
Correct. So if a character is asymmetrical, you can turn off the symmetrical side and move everything individual. And there's actually a pretty cool way to put like CVC nodes in the middle of the mesh with a small script, which I don't have memorized. Sorry. Where you can go in and place those nodes and just snap everything to it so it goes by faster. If you're that person. See, I just did it again. So I'm going to grab this upper arm. I'm going to move it back in here and up and down. Did it again. I'm just going to move his arm there. Lower arm. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm okay with that. I'm a little bit more, I'm just going to kind of breeze through this so you guys can see how quick it actually is. The first time, so this is actually a character we're using for Solar Purge. The first time I rigged this character in ART, it took me 15 minutes to get him an engine using animations. but I had everything macroed out, which I don't have on this computer.
What
So
does that mean?
like all the macro buttons I have on my mouse just make this process a lot faster. And then on top of it, depends on how easy or hard the character is at skinning too as well, right? So I mean, if you're gonna have to individually place each one of these finger nodes as well. So I usually, it starts you with the index. I don't like doing that. I usually go to the thumb first and then place that. And you don't actually have to rotate it to the actual point. If you just put the actual section where it goes, I'll show you how you can auto aim the nodes to, or the joints to actually face each other. So like I can literally just put this joint right here if I wanted to and not rotate it to point down, and then later the script will say, oh, this joint should point to the next joint. And so if I put them in the right spots like that, which I'm able to kind of...
So it auto-orients.
It'll auto-orient for you, correct.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then I move into the index finger. This sometimes when you get on the side of the mesh, it's hard to kind of see where you're going, so I'll pop out of X-ray mode sometimes and just figure out where my orientation is and what's going on. And to answer your other question too, you can actually click on this yellow box to select the movement if you wanted to. So like, see, I messed it up. And so whenever you're doing the fingers here, I've done this so many times, I'm surprised I still do it. If you want to move this bottom one and then this middle one, always move the hierarchy up first, because it's going to move with it like that. So like, let's say I position that and I wanted it there, and I'm like, oh, this isn't right, and I move that into position, it's going to come with me. Did it again. I'm probably going to do that 11 more times. Going to kind of get all these main ones in line first. Kind of where they're... So I've even done it sometimes too, the way that it recognizes is sometimes I've even left the hand this way and it just automatically picks up, you know, the closest thing to it, and it works. But just so we can see it work, I mean, you want to individually place each of these as close to the middle of the mesh as possible that they're going to work in, or else it's going to be funky. Same thing with the hand, since it automatically binds, which I'm sure you guys have seen in the past, is as soon as you hit bind skin, all the fingers are like stuck together. You have to go and individually skin each little section of the finger, and it's annoying. That still happens with this tool.
Not with Mixamo.
Actually, it doesn't. It's a lot worse.
Not in Mixamo.
I was just gonna keep fighting. I don't even know why I bought it.
You know, Mixamo is good for its uses, but if you're an animator, you hate it because you're not actually animating. You're just cleaning up animations.
If you're a producer and you're trying to get a project done, it's amazing.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
From that perspective.
This is the part that takes the longest, is just placing the finger. Everything else is going to go by really quick. Like we're pretty much 80% done with this rig already. So everything's already set up. It already mirrored everything on this side for me, which is great. I'm just going to close off this and go to the legs. Get my thigh mover, move that over. Bring that down a little bit. Calf mover. And you can be as meticulous of your placement as you want. It doesn't matter if things kind of blend into each other like that. And then depending on your character's feet, you can actually adjust these foot controls if you want. I typically don't use them when I animate very often, but if you do, it's probably a good idea to grab them and move them outside of the mesh. Doesn't want me to grab that one.
Switch, or
yes, this will come with, no, this will be straight IK as it comes out. At least that's how I've always done it. If you want to do FK, I think it does have that option. So when I was talking about that aim feature, auto orienting, that's this aim feature right here. When I click aim, it's going to be like, are you sure you want to aim everything? And you see it just kind of made quick adjustments to make everything a little bit more uniform to where it's pointing to the next joint in the hierarchy for me. And then I'm going to unaim it, and now I'm pretty much ready for the deformation setup, where it's going to build the bone structure for me. So I'm going to click deformation setup. It's going to ask me if I want to put the character in a T-pose. It doesn't matter. I always just say yes to that, which is right here. And you're going to hit save rig pose. It's going to ask you if it wants to use the mannequin proxy mesh skinning weight tools for it. If you're using a custom character, always say no, because you don't want that. Like, that wouldn't work with this character at all. So now I have all the bones are in there now. The character's gone. Now it just recognizes this character in here, and that mannequin's gone completely. So I'm just gonna select. Now this is where you guys have done rigging before. If you've rigged characters in this class before and you've done the skinning, this is where everything else is the same. I'm just gonna select the root here. Get the hierarchy. I'm going to select the mesh, and then I'm going to bind it to this, bind the skeleton to the skin. So I'm going to go to rig, skin. I'm going to see what your things are. Joint hierarchy. I'm going to go to dual quintorian. I'm going to change max influences to 3, and I'm going to bind.
Can you talk about why you're doing these options?
The reason I'm doing that option is because that's the way Unreal taught me how to do it. I don't know what dual quintorian means. But the reason I do max influences at 3 is because I don't want small vertices being pushed off. And so now we're in the skinning process. You can use the Unreal tool to skin. I don't know why, I just never use it. It's not that there's anything wrong with it. I just like using the left side of my screen to skin. One thing that I typically like to do whenever I'm skinning a character is I like to bring them out into, I want to see where the influence is getting dragged out. So I'll always pull my legs and my arms out like this so that I can see what's going on here. Okay, so obviously we have some skinning issues with this character. So what's the fastest way to do this? Does anyone know or have an idea of what they think would be the fastest way to skin this? To flood it? That'd be a good way, but this is one mesh. So if I flooded it, I would flood the whole thing. So quick pro tip that I've learned over the years is to use the component editor to actually select vertices to quickly get rid of influence on here. So the first thing I would do is, obviously there's still some root influence, so that would be the thing that I would flood. Is I would actually flood a 0 influence on the root. So So I'm going to select the root. I'm going to drag my value to 0, and I'm going to flood, and that gets rid of half that leg issue, right? There's still a little bit of pull right here in the calf, and then the arm is having influence on the leg. So is this chest piece is having influence on the thigh, and a little bit here where the elbow is. So what I like to do is I like to get rid of looking at the joints. And then I'm going to go into vertex mode. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select like this whole chunk of vertices right here, like that, and I'm going to open up my component editor. And then this is going to show me, this is every single vertice that I've selected right here on the left, and this is where all the influence are for all those vertices, and then the point value for them in the columns right here. So you can see, like, you know, this piece right here is a thigh piece. There's probably nothing else that it needs to be other than the thigh. So I'm just going to select this thigh column. I'm going to press 1. And it's really cool when you have 2 screens because you see it automatically go. I guess I can keep it small like this so you guys can see it work instantly. So I'll do the same here with this thigh, with these thigh vertices here. So that's thigh right. And like literally 0.001 influence on one of these vertices on the arm to the thigh will pull it out, and it will look weird once you get into Unreal. And you won't even notice it until you get into Unreal. It might even look fine in Maya, but it's probably not. So this is a calf part right here. So I'm just going to go through, individually select all these vertices and try and get everything to where it needs to go. And then sometimes, like, if I want to select this whole leg, I'll bring the joints back in, and I'll just, oops, on the object mode, I'll bring that back here so I can just drag select this whole leg and not have so much, and not have to be so meticulous about my selections. So like I can just drag this whole leg right here, select that whole leg, and anything that on here that isn't a leg, like these finger ones, probably don't need pelvis influence. That is the right leg, so I'll just zero out all these. And this is just my fast skinning, like blanket skinning, if you will, like trying to get rid of just the small mistakes. This thumb doesn't need to be there. Calf, foot, pelvis, we'll get rid of pelvis. Doesn't really need to be there. Let me see. Never mind, I got pelvis right there, so I'll leave that. And so you can see that that mesh is a lot more smooth now. There's nothing really pulling out of it now. So I'll do the same with this leg. I'm obviously not getting these all the way up here because they are right there. So I'm going to shift select these guys. And I'm going to get rid of index, middle. Right now you can see I've selected like thousands of vertices here. So I'm just holding shift, selecting everything, scrolling down, zeroing it out. I don't know why it's not going all the way, but it should. I'm not getting to the very, very bottom of it. Okay, that's weird. Go to this thumb. Okay, so it just wants full influence. Sometimes when you do it this way, when you try and zero it out, it won't give you any new options, and that's why it's not switching. So that's where I have to actually go in and physically paint this because it has all these weird influences. So this is from the right calf. So I'll just go to calf underscore R. Which is right here. Oh wait, left. I know my right and left. And I'll just start skinning these vertices right here. That is a thin, there we go. Ugh. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to select any of this. And this is why I hate skinning weights. Okay, so that's the knee right there. Let me get rid of those guys.
If you want to, you could just like, you don't have to like finish skinning this character completely. You just like do like a rough skin and
Yeah.
show us how to get it into Unreal. It doesn't matter if it like looks perfect or not.
It does matter that it looks perfect. It has to be perfect.
We'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bore you guys with skinning. It's not very exciting. Okay, so let's just say this character was skinned perfectly. It looked the way you wanted it to look. Everything was moving. You tested it. You took it into object mode, and you're looking at the joint, and you're like, hey, I really like the way that this arm moves in this direction. Nothing's pulling like crazy. Then the next step after skinning is to build this control rig. Then what it's going to do is going to ask you to publish a character. You give it a name right here, in character name, Juggernaut. And then you hit build. And then it's going to ask you to take a picture of it. You can picture it however you want. You can move it around, whatever. You just take the picture. And then right here, you're going to see it's building your character. Fatal error. See user student app data local temp student. What?
That's the recovered save crash file.
Awesome. Crash.
It got too intense.
What?